How did I win the World Championship of Public Speaking? In this episode of The Journey, Daniel Midson-Short and I talk about my secret weapon. It's powerful, it's simple, and you need to start doing it right now. Let's get into it. Last we left off in the journey, I had just made it to the speech contest semifinals for the first time. However, I wasn't even able to place in that semifinal round. The lights were too bright. I came up short. According to my mother, when I got on stage, I was like a deer in headlights. This meant that I was going to have to try again in 2014. And out of all the years that I competed in the speech contest, 2014 was the most critical to help me become the speaker that I am today. What made 2014 critical for me was that it was the year I started applying my secret weapon. Okay. Are you ready to hear the secret that helped me win the World Championship of Public Speaking and helped me become a better speaker? Goal setting. Goal setting? Goal setting? Really? That's not a secret. Everybody knows about goal setting. That's 1 minute of my life I'm never getting back. Dislike, mean comment, unsubscribe. Whoa, calm down, Kimosabi. It's not just enough to set a goal. You have to set a right goal. For me, I needed a goal that was more than just about winning a contest. You have to set the right type of goals. You may already know about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, trackable. That's initially what I did in 2014. One of my goals was simply to get to Malaysia. In 2014, the semifinals and World Championship of Public Speaking were going to be held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This was the first time that it was ever happening, and I wanted to travel to Malaysia. I wanted to see a different culture. I wanted to experience new places. But on top of that, there was another goal that I set, driven by a different type of motivation: friendship.
So in 2013, that was the year that I met Kingi. Kingi is the second place winner in 2013.
Yes.
I met him, and I also met a mutual friend of ours by the name of Mun.
Yes.
He was a semifinalist that year in 2013. And we all just decided that 2014, we were all going to meet up again in Kuala Lumpur.
Winning the contest so that I could see my friends again and travel. Those were two admirable goals. They were SMART goals. However, even though they were admirable, even though they were smart, they were not right goals. Now, you've likely never heard of the concept of a right goal. I guarantee that you haven't heard of them because I created them myself. Trademark, Aaron Beverly. So what is a right goal? Well, like a SMART goal, it is an acronym, and it stands for Rational, Inspirational, Growable, Habitual, and Testable. Let's break these down further. First up is rational. You need to ask yourself, is this a goal that is based on rational logic, or is it based on a fantasy, a dream, or an impulse? To me, a rational goal is one that you can completely control. You control the outcome of whether you achieve it or you don't. Next up, inspirational. Once you've established that your goal is rational, you have to ask yourself, is it still inspirational? After all, it's easy to be motivated by wanting to become the world champion of public speaking. It's easy to be inspired by a lofty dream, but it's not as easy to be inspired by improving your vocal variety or your body language. And let's be honest, improving your speech writing skills isn't exactly the sexiest thing in the world. However, if you can be inspired by a rational goal that's not driven by a dream or an impulse, then that tells me that you are the type of person who can be inspired by the process of improvement. Being inspired by your improvement is a key to mastery, which leads us to G, growable. Let's say that you've achieved your goal. Is there still a higher level that you can reach after that? Or do you have a one-hit wonder goal? Once you hit that goal, you wonder, what do I do now? You don't want a goal that simply ends your journey once you achieve it. That initial goal should be the stepping stone for an even higher goal. This leads us to H, habitual. Yeah, clear enunciation is definitely needed for this word. Really need to make sure I pronounce that huh Can either your goal or the process you take to reach your goal be incorporated into a habit? Let's take working out, for example. People who get the best workout results are usually the people who not only set health goals for themselves, but they also establish a habit of exercising every day. If your goal is something that you can put into a habit, then you are more likely to see better results. Lastly, is your goal testable? Can you either test yourself to make sure that you're progressing, or can you test out different approaches and try something different? This is basically a way that you can avoid staying stagnant. You can try something new and unique. It can broaden your horizons. So there you have it. That is a right goal. Now the question is, were my 2014 goals right goals? Let's check. In 2014, my goals were 1, to travel to Malaysia, and 2, to see my friends again in the semifinals. Now, were they inspirational? They were absolutely inspirational. Seeing my friends progress in the contest made me want to progress in the contest too. However, by the definition of a right goal, were these goals rational? It was still tied to me winning the contest, and it was still driven by my underlying desire to be the world champion of public speaking. Were the goals growable, habitual, testable? No, no, and no. In 2014, I was able to make it to the semifinals. I traveled to Malaysia. I was able to see my friends again. But when I achieved those goals, the journey just stopped, and there was nothing to replace it. There was also nothing a part of these goals that I was consciously doing to form a habit, nor was there anything that I could do to test my progress or test my approach. Travel and friendship were good goals. They were admirable goals. They were smart goals, but they were not right goals. However, despite my primary motivations, there actually were a couple of right goals that I did set for myself.
Now, when it comes to speaking goals, my goal was to be more dynamic with my body movement that year. I noticed that I was a little stagnant when I was on stage. I didn't move a lot, and my gestures were repetitive as well as just not very energetic.
Gotcha.
And I think that could be a factor in my entertainment value, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also wanted to practice with my vocal variety for those same reasons.
So yes, I did set right goals, and that was good. But there's always a but. In trying to achieve those goals, I lost sight of something very important.
In 2014, I think I did that, but I did it all the way up here where I should have just brought it back down to about here.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
There was no connection to the audience through my words. I was just telling them a story, but I really wasn't bringing them into my story, into my life.
2014, my speech was extremely stylized. It was just one long poem. And the poem was based on the story of the 3 little pigs. And it had a big bad wolf. And he had a big bad voice like this.
So I'm sorry, but no, this dream can't stick around. I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down.
And just to let you know, that was a tame version of that speech. It was an overly theatrical speech. And being overly theatrical, it was missing one key element. There was even a previous world champion who noticed this, and he tried his best to warn me about what I was doing.
Randy Harvey, the 2007 or 5 world champion of public speaking.
2004, I think, but forgive us, Randy, if you want.
Yeah, he's a world champion. Let's just say that. But Randy Harvey, he actually was a speaker at my district that year where I won my district in District 38.
Right.
I met with him afterwards, and he said that you have a problem, Aaron. You're a good speaker. I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's a problem.
I think your disadvantage that you have is you're a good speaker.
Really, that's a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's both an advantage and a disadvantage.
Yeah.
The disadvantage is that you're good enough that you could continue on without doing anything more because you're good enough. I mean, you could go and do a respectable showing at the international, regional. With that speech, you won't win it.
Yeah.
But you could do a decent showing, and people will go, "Oh, that was a good speech."
And despite Randy Harvey's warnings, I still went with that same speech. I went up, I did my voices, I pandered, I howled. Yes, I actually howled like a wolf in front of everybody. Oh, so embarrassing. I usually tell speakers to review their previous speeches so that they can get better. However, I have to admit, I have never laid my eyes on that semifinal performance ever. I hope that all copies of that speech got burned and destroyed. However, at the same time, I'm happy that I was able to experience that because it was at that point where I finally understood what Randy Harvey was trying to tell me about. I want you to listen to this because it is very important. You should never permanently apply lessons that you do not understand. And you should never set goals that you do not understand. At the time, I didn't understand the lesson that Randy was trying to teach me. Only when I experienced it firsthand did I understand what Randy was talking about. And only then was I able to set my new goal. Connect with the audience. But the question was how? I didn't have to wait long for that answer though, because I was able to see the 2014 World Champion of Public Speaking, who was the perfect example of audience connection. Dhananjaya Hediatarachi. I know I'm probably murdering his name. I saw him on stage and I was just amazed by his simplicity. It was simple, yet the audience was completely tuned into what he was saying. I remember saying to my friends when he was done, that was the best world championship speech ever. And my friends said, no, it wasn't. Millions of views don't lie. After Dhananjaya had won the world championship, my mentor Dilip Abeysekera scheduled an interview with him. And I had to make sure that I was there and I had to make sure that I got the recording of that interview. I had to know how Dhananjaya was able to create such a personable speech. And 11 seconds into that interview, Dhananjaya shared the one right goal that would drive me for every speech contest from that day forward.
I think I was just myself. I think it took me 10 years to be myself, and every year I was just discovering how to be more of myself on stage. So previously what I thought was I had to be like a past champion. Like there's an existing model that everybody needs to conform to, and that's how you would win a world championship. And this year I just said I'm going to be myself, and if I win this contest, I want to win it in my own terms, in my own style. And actually when I decided even if I don't win the contest, if I really get to be myself on stage, that's a great achievement. So actually it's when I stopped competing that I started to, I won the contest.